Get them in the routine here. All right, everybody good to go back there? Coach, you want to open it up or just go
Just get questions.
questions?
They already know what happened anyway.
There you go.
All their double secret spy probation people reported to them and they had to watch it, and they already know what it is.
All right, David, you start us off.
Jimbo, with some of your more successful teams, did they go back and forth at practice, offense one day dominating defense?
A lot of times.
Is that what it is?
And within practice. I mean, you go by period a lot of times. I mean, because the competitive nature, when you have great teams, everybody gets into talent, but there's a competitive greatness within you that comes out when you're challenged. You challenge back and forth, and it's it's just like I always say, it's like watching two great boxers go at it. You know what I mean? One guy win one round, one guy. I mean, you learn how to compete and not to flinch in those situations and learn to battle back. And I always call minimize the damage when somebody gets the best of it. What the great teams always do, and I like to see that in practice. And that's why I don't like whole days to go that way. That concerns me sometimes. But it's like you have what I call that. All right, I've been hit. Let me protect. Let me minimize the damage so it doesn't destroy us. You know what I'm saying? And then we'll get back the next period or the next couple plays or whatever it is. And your good teams and good players, when they're like that as a team, do that a lot within the framework of practices.
Are you seeing that this camp?
Yeah, I am. I mean, there's been just maybe a practice or two. I thought one side really got the best of the other, and it's been both ways consistently, but not a lot of it's been by the other one first to practice, the other one to rebound the next period and rebound, punch, counter punch, which you like to see because listen, you're going to get stung. Somebody's going to make plays on you, offense, defense, special teams, and how you react to those. And I call minimize the damage, regroup, go back to fundamentals, and then approach the next level of how you do it is what you want us to be able to see. And once you get on top, though, how long can you stay there? You know what I'm saying? Don't make some plays and say, oh, I get release syndrome all of a sudden and relax. And I know I've had it because players sometimes, I always say this, inexperienced players, difference in playing well and winning. Sometimes you need to make a couple plays. Well, I'm on the internet. I know I got my highlight. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Instead of competitively dominating the whole day. And I think that comes with youth. And I think when you get older, experienced guys, which we're having a more experienced team now, an older team, I think you're learning to see those kind of qualities a little better.
Down front, Brent, and then Sam.
I'll ask that confirmation question then. How would you evaluate the scrimmage? And is that kind of y'all's last big one before the season starts?
That'd be the last full contact, guys hitting the ground. Yeah, good. I mean, very physical. Thought the physicality was good on both lines of scrimmage. I think there was a lot of hits. I think there was competitiveness in all periods, and and I think both sides had their moments of doing well, but very pleased. The other thing, we stayed healthy. For the most, there's no injuries that kept people out or losing for the year, or you always worry about those scrimmages before you go to. And but I liked more consistency, which I like to see in the execution on both sides of the ball. And like both sides of the ball made plays when the other guy still did it right, which is good. You don't want you want to take advantage of mistakes the other team makes, but you don't always. That has to happen for you to make a play. You know what I'm saying? You want to see guys be able to beat an offensive lineman on a run block or a pass block and really shed a play and make it, or a receiver be tightly covered and a quarterback make a tight throw and a guy make a competitive, contested catch, or be able to break a tackle or make a great open field. A great skill player gets in space and one of your DBs or linebackers can make an open field tackle and, like I say, get a guy on the ground. There was a lot more of that with a lot more consistency within the framework of what we were trying to do.
And is your quarterback competition ongoing?
Yeah, it's still going. We haven't announced anything yet, but very pleased with both guys. Both guys had really good moments on the day, made big plays, made consistent plays, executed in third down, made plays in the red zone, made plays in 2 minutes. And those, like I say, coming out and also coming off the goal line. How comfortable do you feel what you put on their back, when you're backed up and things like that. So, we did those things. I was very pleased. And our two young guys are developing very well. Henderson and Marcel, I thought, really did a nice job in how they're developing and what they're doing too. And our walk on Dallas, who's done a great job. I tell you, we're blessed to have him too.
Fourth row on the left there, Sam.
Hey, Jimbo, a couple big picture items for you. This offseason, I think back when you made the offensive coordinator change, I think one of the things you mentioned was the ability to free yourself up because of the demands of the head coach. So I'm curious, just what are some examples of things this offseason that you've done more of that maybe you weren't able to?
Administratively, and just spending more time on certain things that, you're back and forth on a lot of times. You can say, all right, you're in the offensive room, this is what we're going over, this is the things for the day. They're getting taken care of, done well. And then whether it's dealing with recruiting, I mean, the people you're bringing up in recruiting, the people you are recruiting, the decisions you make, maybe even, like I say, defensively, special teams wise, even be able to spend more time in those areas. Also in, future ideas of what you want to do within your organization, future plans of things that your organization needs. Not, I mean, just whether it's not just facilities, but staff, supporting staff, things at which you want to take the program where other people are going right now. And then also frees you up at times to even expand on offensive stuff where, if that room's there, you're expanding on some other opponents inside or other ideas that are going on in football that, they're having a game plan on and do things that you have a lot more people that can diversify and do, I call exploratory exercises of, finding information about different things you want to do in all three phases of what you're trying to do. And then I think communicatively with your boosters and donors. I mean, and be able to spend more time, you're speaking. And like I say, right now, when you don't have that, the way speaking is now, the old days when you used to go speak in the spring, those days are almost gone. Because we're recruiting all the way through. Those, used to have 15, it's getting tough to even get out on the road now and doing those things. But and especially when you're recruiting and then you still have the other sides of the thing, which you're still involved in, but at the same time, it can be turned over. So, I mean, there's diversity of where you're at in your time in all those areas too.
Does it take away from teaching at all, like
No.
as a coach?
Sometimes no. It can enhance because you're teaching, and when you're on the field, you go in a meeting, you do things, and also you got more time to meet with players privately. You got a lot of time to have individual meetings with players where you be in there collectively grouping here. You can pull them into your office and go over specific things in which, when they're not allowed to be in a meeting, as far as, we're not allowed to be, but other guys are game planning, a guy come up and see you during the day and you talk about, hey, things are getting to know them better, but also these are specific things I see when other times you'd be in there game planning all the time. You know what I'm saying? So individual meetings with players, relationships, all those type of things make it, and you can sometimes even coach as much or more in those situations.
What has this offseason been like for you? Because 10 years ago, you won a national championship. You've had a lot of success in this sport. But I know a lot of people have questioned your abilities and, whether or not you can still reach that pinnacle. I'm curious how you...
People always doubt you. As an athlete, you're doubted every day.
Yeah.
Every team out there is the same way. People doubt you, makes it fun. That's what competition's about. I don't worry what people think. I know what we can do and how we can have it and where we try to go to. I mean, and every coach is, listen, you're on a daily basis. It's what you do for me lately and everything you do. I mean, every coach in the country is like that. If you slip up one time, it is what it is. And that's why that's part of the business you like.
Down front, Travis.
Yeah, Coach, I know from what we've seen in practice, Chase Basantis has had some first-team reps. What have you seen from him and his ability to step right in as a freshman? And
very mature physically, very mature emotionally, learning well, and taking that responsibility. That's the parts you worry about. And he's been doing that since spring. He was with the ones in the spring and things he's been doing. So just handling it. But other guys have too. There's been a lot of them step up. I've been playing with our whole freshman class. I think there's a group of them that I think will help us and play significant time and significant roles this season early for us. And it's not because of lack of other players, it's because of their ability to make plays and their maturity.
Coach, back behind the lights to the left, Tyler.
Jimbo, from the first scrimmage to this scrimmage, what would you say kind of some of the biggest improvements that you
Consistency.
saw from that?
More consistency on why you did things and how things were executed. I mean, and not just the result of it, but the operation of it, from making the call to putting the hat on a hat to filling the right gap on defense to rolling the right coverage or making the right check, or how the DBs may have switched off a crossing route on in and out coverage, or things like that. I think there was less not I say blown assignments, but more consistency in the techniques in which they use, knowledge of what they were doing, more confident in how they played, and I think they played faster, and it showed. I think we played faster, quicker, and more physical. And when you know what you're doing and you're confident in what you're doing, that allows you to do that. And I think we did that as a group on both sides of the ball.
Are there any starting positions that maybe were cleared up from what you saw Saturday?
They're all wide open. Everybody's wide open. Hey, coaches are daily, players are daily.
Down front, Brent, and then Olin.
Seems like y'all are doing pretty well without it, but do you have a timetable and name or hiring a recruiting director at this point?
No, we're doing great. We have exactly what we want inside and what we're doing right now. We may hire some more people and coming up, and we may not, just depending on getting the right people for the right situation.
And then to that point that y'all are doing well in the recruiting, even without that position filled, could you just kind of speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, you get so caught up that the recruiting director ain't doing all the recruiting.
Right.
I mean, every coach still does it. Every off field guy has got roles and their roles and things haven't done. And as the head coach, you're still regulating it all. You're still deciding who you sign, when you sign, where you go, what you do, how you do all that. Those people just organize things in your thoughts, which is we're still involved with everything on a daily basis anyway. So those things all still come through us and what we do. So there'll be other people we'll eventually bring into those roles, and we get the right person to do the things we're going to do. But we can still operate and do, because that's still just a faction below us on what we want to do and how we want to do it.
Some programs wondering about the stability of their future, what conference they're going to be in and so forth. How nice is it to be at a place where there's a lot of stability and knowing where you're going to be?
Oh, yeah, being in a great, you're in one of the two, in the best conference in the country. You know, one of the top conferences, but I think the best conference in the country. Maybe I'm biased on that because of support, the importance of sports and ball and the schools and the academics you have in this league. And, I mean, it's all great. I mean, it's great to know that where you're at and what you're doing and that you're not traveling 3 time zones. I mean, I joke, I'm not being critical of that. I mean, I think that's an issue that happens that I think is very tough on college athletes that, you know, but I understand why people are doing what they're doing. Like I say, I'm not criticizing them, but it's great to be in a league where you only have one time zone to cross and your footprint stays in where it's at and what it's doing. And I think our commissioner's done a great job that way.
Second row, Olin.
Yeah, Jimbo, it's kind of a two-parter. First of all, how difficult is it to replace not just the on-field production, but everything Devon A-Chain was? And then the second part is, are any of those running backs, any one of them, taking
I'm gonna tell you what,
distinguishing themselves?
Tell you
more?
what, if you watch them Saturday, which I'm sure y'all did somewhere, so you know exactly. Yeah, I know. It was up there, but whoever y'all had watching for you, but you saw backs run well. All those guys have talent. Those guys can run the football, and I was very pleased with our production out of the backfield, running and catching and picking up blitzes. That group has done a really good job. Marquell's done a really good job with those guys. I mean, Amari ran well. Ruben ran tremendously well. Le'Veon ran. They all had plays and you know, broke tackles, made yards when tough yards. I mean, expanding yards from 2 yard. Like I look, sometimes everybody's looking for a touchdown. I'm looking for a guy. Can that guy take that 3 yard run, and make it a 6 yard run? Can that guy get in space and make a guy miss, then create a play when it's not always, when it's wide open? That's great. But can they get through cracks? Can they read? Can they break tackles? Can they set blockers? I mean, and then catch the football, and can they pick up blitzes? But I'm telling you, those guys had a really good day Saturday. Knock on wood. I just hope we can keep doing it. And then Dave Bailey, our big guy coming in, has done a real nice job. You know, Crownover's done a really nice job in what he's doing and helping us in the backfield. So been pleased with that position, really have.
Third row on the left,
Very
Carter.
productive.
Jimbo, what have been your thoughts about Tyrion York this preseason
I'm
camp?
sorry, what about
Tyrion York.
done very mature kid that really. I'll tell him he's 18 going on 30. And I say that from a standpoint of how he learns, how he acts, how he handles things, deals with things, makes calls, has a great understanding of the game of football, and, you know, and handles the maturity parts that not just he's a very intelligent guy and a very well-rounded guy and has had a really good camp. A guy as a freshman can go out there and make calls for you as a linebacker. And and get guys in the right position and do things and orchestrate things. That doesn't always happen as a true freshman.
And where are Bryce Foster and Deuce Fothery at in their recovery?
Fothery scrimmage, getting back healthy. He's not all. He's getting back into practice every day and doing well. And he scrimmaged Saturday and had some really good things happen. He'll just keep getting better and better. And Bryce should be ready to go this week. Should be ready to roll.
Coach will go back behind the lights to the right side. Ben.
Coach, you talk about some of the young guys kind of getting up to speed. I'm curious offensively if you're seeing, like, from the quarterback's perspective in terms of the decision making, that there's more guys kind of giving options that, you know, they're doing their job and it's not just, you know.
Well, here's the other thing. When a quarterback, sometimes you judge a quarterback, did the other guys around him do their job? They have to do their job for him to do his job. And our decision-making Saturday, for the most part, was really good at quarterback. And I think the consistency now you're talking about now Evan, Noah, Moose, Anais, who's been there a long time, the young freshman. The young timing, Jake Johnson ain't a freshman anymore. Max isn't there anymore. Our big Swede, dadgummit. Theo. Him knowing what to do. Those guys, getting in places where they're doing, and we're getting the protection. You know, we're getting time in the pocket. We're protecting. We're having a consistent group up front where the communication's right. It's allowing the quarterbacks to function. I mean, that's a big part of it too, and I was pleased with that. I mean, I'm pleased with our offensive line development. Pleased with our defensive line development. I think they're doing a good job. Our backers, our young guys are developing. Our young secondary guys, some of them guys are going to be really good players, man, along with our older guys. But they're functioning around and letting those quarterbacks. But now you're settling in. You can play with, again, playing with consistency. And to play with consistency, everybody's got to do their job. It's not just one guy. I mean, in the youth and the injuries and the things we battled a year ago, knock on wood, right now we're not battling that. They're more experienced. We're healthy. We're knowing what to do. We're playing better. We're playing faster. We're playing more physical. And that's allowing us to function at a better level. And it's when you play quarterback and everybody's where they're supposed to be and doing what they're supposed to do and working to get open, it becomes fun. You know, it's fun back there to get that ball in your hand and throw it.
Brent, you finish this up down front.
You mentioned a couple times people seeing the scrimmages in the past. But how aware of technology do you have to be in terms of, at one point in your first scrimmage, the construction cams were showing parts of it. So how do you find that out? How do you say, hey, we got to shut that stuff down?
Back in the 90s, guys were flying airplanes over and filming practices. Guys were sitting in dorm rooms with video cameras and filming your practices. So this stuff, I mean, that stuff goes on 24. That's been going on for years and years and years and years. I mean, people sneak in and watch your practices, film your practices, do all that. That's been going on. People don't want to admit that, but that's been going on for years. Get practice video. Somehow they get your practice video. We had plenty one time. I ain't gonna say I was at a school. Found out later they had every spring practice on video. We had. Don't know how they got it, where they got it, but they got it. I mean, we didn't, but I mean they so all the time. Espionage. Did the next play? What do you mean? They had our video. We didn't have theirs.
Final one for you. Are you, in terms of the clock not stopping after first downs, does that matter much to you?
I don't think it's 6-8 plays. I think it'd be 6 to 10 plays, most likely, of what will happen. I mean, we think we've averaged out. I mean, that makes a difference, though. That's a drive. That could be 2 drives. That's a possession or 2. I mean, you're taking it shorter and shorter of the health. You're taking it more to pro football. I mean, you're taking it more like the pro game. And probably, I hate to say it, in college football, you need to make a lot of the rules like the pro game. I think you might, if you're training them for it, why not be like it from the way you do the clock, way you do. I like the stopping in the last 2 minutes. I think that's really, I think that makes the college game a little more unique, than gives you better finishes, chances for comebacks than you do in pro football because of stopping it then and out of bounds. But what I'm talking about, whether it's interference where you flag a guy, if it's in college football, if you're beat on a post and they're 50 yards down the field, that's 15-yard penalty. In pro football, it's a 50-yard penalty. I mean, the grabbing in the secondaries, those type of things, and all the rules. You've trained them for it. Why not be it? You know what I'm saying? And I think you got to do an emphasis of protecting quarterbacks. I think because, like I said before, we're more like pro football in that regard now, that once quarterbacks don't play, very few of them hang around. So you don't have the depth you used to have. Now, we're very fortunate this year to have 4 guys. I mean, last year you saw we had 3 and almost guys getting hit in the way they got to protect them. And I think that makes a difference, protecting quarterbacks.
So in terms of protecting, you're talking about additional penalties or
just what you're allowed to, how you're allowed to hit them, when you're allowed to hit them, and stay in shoulder down, in protection when the guys are unprotected and all that type of stuff. And it protects the kids for the game. And I know it's a physical game, and listen, I like the toughness of it as much as anything, but we got to change with the times too.
Coach, appreciate it.
Thank you.